This video is to describe the name rotation project. So for this project, you are going to be using this chart to create points for 4 different words or names. You are going to graph those points onto 4 different graphs. For each figure that your word creates, you are going to rotate it 3 times so that you have a total of 4 figures graphed on a single graph. You are then going to pick your favorite graph. You're going to graph it on a larger grid that will be traced onto copy paper, and then it will be designed, colored, and cut out to be put on construction paper. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is copy this chart into your notebook paper so that you can create your words. So I've gone ahead and done that, and the first word we're going to do together is math. So I want to show you how you create those points. Each point is going to use 2 letters. So the first 2 letters in the word math are M and A. So we are going to use the digit for M and the digit for A to create our first coordinate. M corresponds to 1 and A corresponds to 0. So my first coordinate is 1, 0. Now my next 2 letters are going to be A and T. When I have listed out all of my coordinates, the word math should be read down the left-hand side. So A and T, then we're going to use the next 2 in order, which are T and H. And then because I need to have H in my last point, we're going to do H and then the first letter M. So A corresponds to 0 and T corresponds to 8. So that next coordinate is 0, 8. Then we have T corresponding to 8 and H is with 7. So that is 8, 7. And then the last one, HM. H corresponds to 7 and M corresponds to 1. So these are the coordinates that we are going to use to graph our word. So on the small graph paper, I'm going to go ahead and label this math at the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy these coordinates onto this paper so that when I graph them, they are easy for me to see on the paper. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So MA is 1, 0. So 1, 0 is right here, and I'm going to put my point. I'm going to make it nice and dark so it's easy to see. My next is 0, 8. So 0, 8 is all the way up here. And before I do anything else, I want to grab my ruler, and I would like to connect those because those points go in order. I would recommend that you always connect your points as you go so that you don't get lost and end up graphing the wrong thing. Next point is 8, 7, which is over here. I'm going to go ahead and connect those. Then 7, 1. Because 7, 1 is my last point, I'm going to go ahead and connect it back to the original first point. And this makes my quadrilateral for the word math. Now we need to rotate this, and the way that you have learned to do rotations is when we have all 4 coordinates, but here we don't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our paper and we are going to turn the paper 1 time. We are going to graph these points again. We are going to pretend that this is our new origin of 0, 0 down here. So when I want to graph the point 1, 0, from here I go over to 1 and it is there. And then the point 0, 8, this is my new y-axis on the left-hand side, so I go up 8 blocks, and that is my new 0, 8, and I'm going to connect them. We're going to graph this shape on top of the shape that we already have because I want to create some sort of symmetrical figure. Next is 8, 7. So I'm going to go over 8 boxes and then up 7 boxes to end up here. And then I'm going to connect those. And then I have 7, 1, so I'm going to go over from the bottom corner, over 7 and up 1 to end up there. And then make sure that you're paying attention to which points you're connecting so you don't get confused. And then I'm going to connect 7, 1 back to my original point. There we go. So this is my figure, my original figure and my new figure after a single rotation. Now we are going to turn the paper yet again. Let me adjust my camera here. And we're just going to go ahead and graph it again. So I still have my points listed out here. I know my first point was MA, which was 1, 0. So my new origin now is down on the bottom left, and so this is my new 1, 0, and my new 0, 8 is up there. And then I can go ahead and connect them. We're just going to keep doing this until we have 4 figures written on our graph. Okay, so there's my third shape, and you can see that it's all starting to do the same things as we go around. So now we're going to do the last one. Gotta get this in here properly. Sorry about that, guys. Now I'm going to graph my shape for the last time. So 1, 0 and 0, 8. Now 8, 7. I'm just going to turn it right ways up. So here are all 4 of my figures. It's the word math that has been rotated 4 times. So we had our original plus our 3 rotations. No matter how I turn this figure, it should look the same every single way that I look at it, based on how we did our rotations. It should all look the same every single way, and it does. So this is what you're doing for your project. We've done the first one together. You will need to create your first name with these points. You will need to create your last name, and then you will get to pick your third name. You do need, it needs to be appropriate. So I just wanted to show you one more example. I'm actually going to go ahead and use my first name, which is Angelina. And this is how I created my points. So first 2 letters, I had A-N, then N-G, G-E, E-L, L-I, I-N, N-A, and the last one was A-A. So if you look, you can see the first letters down do spell out my name. So that is how I know that I've set it up correctly. And then when I use the chart at the top, I get 0, 2, 2, 6, 6, 4, 4, 0, 0, 8, 8, 2, 2, 0, and 0, 0. Now I went ahead and I graphed this for you just so that you could see what you're going to kind of be looking at. And so I wanted to show you how kind of crazy these figures kind of turn out to be when you get into them. Because I have so many points in my name, I ended up with this like crazy pinwheel looking thing. There's not much dead space, so if I were to trace this onto my copy paper, there would just be this spot and this spot that I would cut out, and all the rest of this would be filled in. And so if I decided to make this bigger and I traced it, I could go ahead and like go over each of the lines with a marker, a black marker, so it'd be easier to trace with. But each one of these tiny little shapes in here, I could color with something different, just so that it would look pretty cool. But I want to show you some options of some things that my kids have done in the past where they've gotten a little bit creative. So here's an option that looks kind of similar to what mine turned out to be. This was a student from a few years ago who was disappointed that their graph ended up taking up, you can see, almost the entire thing. So they cut it out, but ended up coloring each section a different color, and it turned out pretty cool. We have another one that ended up looking like a pinwheel. And so they outlined each section in a darker color and then colored them in so that they would look a little bit nicer. And then one of my personal favorites, this was a student I had a few years ago who was very disappointed with how his project turned out because he felt like his shape was very, very boring. So he went ahead, ignored some of these extra shapes and lines, but added some extras and turn it sideways so that you can see the whole thing. And he actually turned it into a sunflower. And I really genuinely love these. I've got a bunch of these saved from the past couple of years, and they're pretty fun to work out. So just some ideas of some things that you could do with your project. I hope you have fun with it, and please don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions.